Blog Talk Radio.
We interrupt this broadcast for an emergency announcement. A massive earthquake. The flood has reached. All roads into and out of are closed. No medical services. Store shelves have been stripped. What's coming? Are you ready? You are at the right place to hear the best ways to stay safe and weather the coming storm. Welcome to Power Preppers. Here is your host, Patricia Baker.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Power Preppers. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and my mission is to make getting prepared for any emergency easy and efficient. I want you to just get informed and get prepared. Now, please remember to sign up for our newsletter at supernaturalgirls.com, and that will give you all the latest show information, discounts, of which we have many to offer, and giveaways on both Power Preppers and Supernatural Girls Radio. We have lots of wonderful books to give away and some products, so if you are signed up on the newsletter, then you will be in the running to receive one of those things. And I know you're going to want to know all about these discounts that we're offering. They're great discounts on terrific products. So go to supernaturalgirls.com website and click on Power Preppers to see all the discounts that are listed there for you. Well, this Saturday night, we are interviewing my wonderful new co-host, Becky Andreasen, and myself will be interviewing Dr. Michael Buckley about the inner and outer workings of the universe. Now, this is a medical doctor, and he is an expert on Arthur Young's theory of place, which is the first of its kind, and it actually has created a place for spirit, psi phenomenon, emotion, and all things paranormal. So this is going to be a fascinating show because now the paranormal is really normal, according to this doctor. This is going to be a really wonderful show. Don't miss it. Just join us this Saturday and every Saturday night, 9 to 11 Eastern Time. And again, just go back to supernaturalgirls.com, and it will give you all the information on all of our shows that are live and archived so that you can join us and take part in the fascinating discussions that we have every Saturday night. So today we have a terrific show for you about water and a new discovery called Double Helix water. So this is going to ramp up your water to a whole new level. And as you know, water is very important. You want to make sure that you drink enough every day. Most people tell me they don't, and we've got to change that if we want to stay healthy. But besides that, there's a lot of things in our water that are quite concerning, and we've got to find out about all of these things. We want to store the proper amounts of water, certainly. We've all been talking about that, how much to keep on hand, how much to drink daily. But now we're going to talk to a gentleman, Randy Gerson, who is an executive with Double Helix Water, and he's going to fill us in on how fabulous this particular water is and what the difference is between this water and the water you drink every day. Now, Randy is an interesting person in and of himself. He is a former pro athlete and a cancer survivor. So he can tell us firsthand about health challenges and what to do and how this Double Helix water plays a very big part. So, Randy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Patricia. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you for making time out of your very busy schedule. I know you've been extremely busy these last few months, so thanks so much for coming on the show today. And first of all, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get involved with the health field and Double Helix water?
Well, I've obviously been involved in the health field since my athletic days back in the 70s, and I've always been a health nut. And came across the nutritional industry, got very intrigued with that about 8 or 9 years ago, and met a few gentlemen that have PhDs in nutrition from all kinds of doctoral disciplines, medical doctors that are alternative in their disciplined naturopaths and other kinds of researchers, and they turned me on to the science of food, good food, organic food, which our bodies need, and get away from the chemical foods I was eating at the time that were inhibiting my body from performing at its best. And being an athlete, most athletes know whether you're an amateur athlete or a pro athlete, you always want to operate at your optimal level, and most of us walking around want to operate at our optimal level as well, even though we might not think of that all the time. And I ran across the owners of Double Helix Water at a trade event in San Diego and was very intrigued by their science. And I've seen a lot of products come and go in the nutritional sector. I've seen a lot of products make claims they couldn't substantiate. And this was one that was very unique, and a friend of mine who's a PhD scientist, I asked him about this product, and he said the science is very solid and very savvy, and I should go over there and take a look. And I did. And what I discovered was something very unique that I had no idea existed. And it was a very unique thing to me.
That's exciting.
So,
and, you bring up a very important point also, Randy, which is that there are a lot of products that come and go. And in the natural field, sometimes it is difficult to sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, and find out what products are valuable. I mean, you can invest a ton of money in all these things before you find out what's real and what isn't. So you were happy with the science that you were seeing regarding the Double Helix water.
Yeah, I was very happy, and the doctors and professors, I mean, they now have, in the science world, you look at the pharmaceutical companies that are out there, and they're very happy if they get 1 or 2 peer-reviewed papers doing their clinical research to come out with the drugs that they come out with. Double Helix Water's had the nicety of having actually 7 peer-reviewed papers published recently this July in a medical journal, peer-reviewed by MDs and PhDs. The discoverer of the product, Dr. Lowe himself, is a very renowned scientist himself and physicist, and studied under some of the top Nobel Prize winners around the globe. So there's some really good science behind this product.
That's excellent. So I feel confident that all of our listeners could try this product and in good faith know that there's a lot behind it that substantiates the things that you're saying about it. Now, as you and I discussed earlier, the FDA basically prevents you from making health claims about it, but there are testimonials that people have given that enhance, again, the product and let people know what can happen and what has happened for them personally. So there's a lot of stories around this, and they're all good. So tell us more about the discovery of this product. How did this happen?
Well, kind of like penicillin. David Gann, unfortunately, was no longer with us. He passed away this last year. And Dr. Lowe, Dr. Gann was looking for something else at the time, and that's a long story I won't get into today, but he discovered this particle in water and didn't know whether it was an impure particle, an organic particle, but he noticed it was there, and they were having trouble finding it again, and Dr. Lowe and him got together. They used a electron force microscope, and to make it really simple, this is a very expensive piece of equipment. It can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it allows the naked eye to see particles that are so small. They're thousands of times smaller than a grain of sand.
Oh, my goodness.
And what they discovered was a new phase of water that had occurred in nature and has been around, they're thinking, since the beginning of man, or actually prior to that. It's a basic building block for DNA. And so we know that we have 3 phases of water. Everybody's familiar with those. You have the gas, the liquid, and the solid. And in a solid phase, we refer to it as ice. We all know what ice is. In the liquid phase, obviously, drinking water. And in the gaseous phase, we call it steam. What they discovered is at room temperature, there was a solid phase of water that was not ice. When they heated the water up, the stable water clusters still remained there, and in fact, they increased in their numbers in the water. So it's a brand new discovery in water itself, in very pure water.
So this was a new discovery. So then once they saw this in this very expensive microscope, how do you process it, or how do you then bottle it to be used and added to water, and what difference does it make?
Yeah, let me just go into that really quickly. So this is, they discovered first the particle itself. They were able to reproduce that discovery several times over, and I'm saying this quickly, but this took years for them to do this, a lot of years, and it took a lot of math without making everybody's head hurt from Dr. Lowe, who's a mathematical physicist, and he mathematically said this had to be something natural, but they couldn't prove it, and it took them years through technology, and now these microscopes are more available to actually see this. It forms looks like a DNA molecule.
Now,
I've seen the actual pictures from the microscope.
When you describe this, is this in all water, or is this in special water found in a certain place?
It probably was in water when it was not at our level, but maybe very high up in high altitudes when water's very pure before our clouds were polluted with water. But this is ultra-pure water, and these particles exist when there's not chemicals and other additives to water or corrosiveness from our pipes that are in water destroying these stable water clusters. So first you have to have ultra-pure water for it to stay existent by itself. And so they've been able to recreate this in their lab in quantities, and then they bottle it. It's what's called a 100 clean room. And scientifically what that means is you think of a hazmat happening where everybody's in suits, white gloves, there's no dust, there's no particles. This is where they make this water. It's made here in the United States. It's bottled right in the lab, and then we sell it directly to medical doctors and to the public.
So this is not something that you would find in your tap water, and you probably wouldn't even find it in spring water because so much has become terribly polluted. It's a sad state of affairs, but that's how it is. I mean, people have been notified, I guess, that their tap water could also contain medications that people have dumped down the drain or flushed down the toilet. So now these medications are turning up in people's tap water. I mean, this is pretty disgusting stuff. So we're talking about, the purity of the water that they extracted these clusters from, these DNA-shaped clusters. And again, this is very different from anything that we would find in our typical water today that we're drinking every day.
Yeah, it's very different. If you take most anybody in the country gets and it's available to the public. You can go online and get yours. I mean, I live in San Diego. I could go online, but I get it in my water bill. And they give you maybe twice a year how they test the water and what is found in the water. And if you look at those reports, and they're available to the public, you'll see there's trace amounts and sometimes more than trace amounts. And the word trace is defined by our government, not by our health. And that's the one thing you need to understand is they set the limits of what they think is a healthy amount of some chemical that our bodies really don't want in it. And a good example of that is chlorine. They put chlorine in our water. Chlorine has indications to heart disease, hardening of the arteries, arteriosclerosis, anemia, and high blood pressure, along with some kind of cancers of the bladder, stomach, and liver. And so you think about that, put in our water, and they do that to try to kill bacteria.
Right.
And so they're trying to kill one chemical with another. It's kind of like chemotherapy for cancer. Chemotherapy, basically, they try to target the cancer, but it ends up killing a lot of healthy cells around the cancer cells as well. And so people that survive cancer through chemotherapy is basically survive the cancer and the chemicals that have been poured into their body. So it's a very long thing. There's also aluminum sulfate that's added to water to make it clear, so it looks clear. And that can have and is believed to increase cardiovascular disease.
And also Alzheimer's, isn't it? Related to Alzheimer's as well?
It is possibly related. They haven't made the link yet, but it's possibly related to Alzheimer's. So I wouldn't make that claim just yet, but there's some studies still going on with that. It's associated with memory loss. They're just not quite sure if it's a trigger for Alzheimer's at this point. And then sodium fluoride. This is not a water treatment, but it was initially added to prevent tooth decay in children a long time ago. And these decisions were made, and they continue to put these in. And higher concentrations, that same chemical, sodium fluoride, is used in pesticides and as rat killer.
Lovely.
So I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to be drinking a small trace amount that's supposedly healthy for me as can be rat killer and higher concentrations in my water. And then, of course,
no, I don't want any of that. Thank you very much. And there's been a lot said, too, about people who are seeking, higher spiritual awareness and things, that fluoride is extremely detrimental to the pineal gland, which is also referred to as the third eye. And they're saying that it adds to the calcification of that gland. So there's a lot of bad things about fluoride. But as you're saying, this is just one more chemical that's allowed to be in our water. And in some cases, isn't it something that they actually insist be in the water because of the tooth decay issue?
Yeah, they do. And that's the one thing is as consumers, we, unless we really band together, it's really hard for us to control our own drinking water. It's controlled by the, institutions that we have voted into office to have these municipalities control our water supply. And every city has different chemicals in their water supply. It's not consistent throughout the country. And as long as they purify the water in a way where they have, as I mentioned earlier, trace amounts under, what's approved, and we know the FDA is not our friend, prove certain amounts, or these municipalities have proved certain amounts, then those amounts are in the water that you have. So every city has different amounts of them, but every city has them in their water supply at some amount or another.
That is not a comforting feeling. And then to talk about some of the other sources of water, because people might think that they're benefiting from buying spring water. And what about that as a source of water?
Well, let's just look at who owns the water consortium, the World Water Consortium, and you can look this up on Google on your computer. These are corporate giants, Nestle being one of them, and much other companies that we don't need to go into that own our water supply, basically. And they go into countries like ourselves and tap into the water supply and bottle water, calling it pure. And really what they have done is they have are an unregulated industry, meaning they're not regulated by anybody but themselves. And so here you have a board of people on the Water Consortium who are the executives of these water companies self-regulating. And we all know when that happens, nothing good comes out for us as the consumers.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So we don't really know what's in the spring water. It's purported to be, clean, clear, healthy for you, but I've read some studies where when the water was analyzed, they found it was no different than the city tap water. So it clearly they weren't getting it from a spring.
No, Patricia, you are spot on with that. So in some cities, it could be exactly just like some people's tap water. I mean, what you have to realize here, this is a business that is in the business for making profit. And so it's all about the profit and not about the health. And they have millions of dollars to mass media through radio, TV, print ads, and everything else to get in our brains that this is healthy for us. And it's really hard for us as humans to resist this kind of marketing at such a high level of frequency that it's almost like brainwashing, even though it isn't. It's just the amount of messages that you see on this are so overwhelming it's hard not to believe it because it just gets pounded into your brain.
Well, it does. They have all those commercials about, water. It's as clean as it is. It tastes better to the Alaskan Native American than it does, It's like they have those where they bring them water from the supermarket. Oh, doesn't this taste great? Oh, yes, this is fabulous. And again, there's so many people who are really honestly trying to improve their health, and they're looking to these commercials and seeing that this water is supposedly healthier for you, it's cleaner, more pure, whatever. But is it really? And what you're bringing to light here, Randy, is the fact that maybe it isn't, and we need to look a little further into the water. Who's documenting the fact that this is pure and clean and tastes better? And it's got to be more than just a glitzy commercial on television that we reference for some information like that. So we've got some questions now. I mean, tap water is highly suspect, and spring water also suspect. What do you recommend? Should people possibly consider distiller and do distilled water?
Well, distilled water is good, but in mass quantities, distilled water is not good for you as well. So in small quantities, distilled water is very good. If you think about the way before all modernization, how water was much purer, a lot of times if you weren't sure, you'd boil water. You'd boil water to kill the bacteria in it, let the mineral properties settle to the bottom, and scoop the water off the top. And that was kind of the way to get as pure water as you could living out in nature. So you just got to think of it that way, that most of the water that we get now is, as we talked about, tap water being tainted, and then the manufacturers of bottling water not much different. So, where do you really get pure water? It's really hard to find, and commercially, it's really hard to have it available. It's a very expensive process, if you think about it, to get all these chemicals out of our water supply, not only to filter them, but purify them, get the metals out that are naturally in there that come through corrosion of pipes, the reservoirs that the water sits in, and all the ways to bring it to your home. Most of us don't really think about it as how does that water get from where it came down from the sky, where did it land, what did it have to go through, and water's the kind of property that it picks things up along the way. Think of it like a sticky substance, and everything it touches, it picks up. And it's hard to get all those things out of it before we actually drink it, whether it's bottled or it comes from the tap. So to actually have really ultra-pure water is a very expensive process.
It must be, and plus it's even scaring me more thinking about what you just described. What is this journey that the water's making from the sky into your tap or into your bottled spring water or whatever it is that you're drinking? If it is like this, if it's sticky and it's picking up everything along the way, my goodness, not just contamination in terms of bacteria, but you're also talking about metals, you're also talking about pipes, which I didn't even think of, but you're so right. These pipes, so many of them have been in place for many, many years and corroding for many, many years. So what's that doing to the water?
Yeah, I can only imagine. You think about when's the last time they actually replaced the entire pipeline with some clean source of material that doesn't seep into the water. It's virtually impossible, and our municipalities don't have the financial wherewithal nor the vision to want to do that. They're not driven to do that because, again, they've tested the water to what they're supposed to test it to say it's safe for us. And, quote, again, safe means that it's safe today, but 50 years from now, all these diseases pop up, and you think about the last 100 years of all the chemicals we've added to our food supply, our environment, and everything, and the industrialization of our society in whole, and this is worldwide, not just here in the States,
right?
What we've done to our environment. And a very famous Nobel Prize winner, in fact, he's one of the few people that has won 2 Nobel Prizes by himself, Linus Pauling, made a very interesting statement. And he basically said that everything in the treatment and prevention of chronic diseases, which is not natural to the body, will fail. And the reason he says that is because we're a couple billion-old organism that has fought off, you think about it, many, many diseases that have tried to kill us. And we've been able to change ourselves genetically over time through gene expression to fight diseases off. And so it's just the body is an amazing mechanism of self-healing if you really think about it.
Yeah, and we've adapted through the years. But now we're up against a whole level of assault that we've never faced before.
Yeah, the assault is amazing. It's in everything we breathe, we eat, and we drink. And if you really think about your health, about 25% of it is your health is genetic. So you're going to live as long as you're going to live. You're going to have whatever diseases you're going to have genetically. That's in your gene expression. So you may not get that disease. You may have already a precursor in your gene for, let's say, diabetes. You may not get diabetes. Trigger it with certain chemicals in your body. But the gene is there. It's not expressed. So that's by gene expression. So 25% of your health is your genes. The other 75% is made up of environment, which is a very small percentage. So we all breathe the air. We're all filtering that, which is in the air, so our bodies are able to adapt to that to some level. But if you work in a chemical plant or you work around asbestos, we know how deadly asbestos is for workers from the past because we didn't know how deadly it was. Those terrible. People are people that were in Vietnam War, Agent Orange, those exposed to those chemicals of war. We know now, 20, 30, 40 years later, they're getting chronic diseases because of this. I had a very good friend pass away from Agent Orange recently. His body was riddled with all kinds of cancer because of it, but it took 30, 40 years for it to manifest itself. And so what Linus Pauling is saying is if it's not made by nature, then it's probably not good for us.
Well, it makes total sense. And again, with water, this is something that we need to survive. It's not like we can make a choice. I'm not going to eat meat, or I'm not going to eat this or that. I mean, you have to drink water. How many days do they say we can survive without it? I think 3 to 5 or something like that. I know some people have survived longer, but typically it's not very many days that you can survive without water. So, we have to drink it, and yet the sources for it we've contaminated everything. And our government and municipalities, as according to what you're saying, and I totally agree with you, they are allowing this, and we have to find some alternatives here to be healthy, to stay healthy, because, as you're saying, autoimmune diseases, they have skyrocketed. Heart disease and diabetes and all of these other things have just gone through the roof. And I agree with you. It does have to do with what we're taking in, our food, our water. But we've got a lot more questions for you, Randy. I know I've got a couple of questions here on the board that have come in. But let me take this moment to take a break for a few minutes, and we're going to come right back. Now, if you have a question for Randy, call in at 646-478-0828. That's 646-478-0828. And we will be right back.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Welcome back, everybody. We are having a terrific, informative discussion with Randy Gerson from Double Helix Water. about water, and this is a critical thing. We all need it, and yet we are facing tainted water, and what are we going to do about it? So, Randy, here we are again. Now, I've got a question for you from the chat room, and somebody wants to know if Double Helix water is charged with tourmaline crystals.
No, it is not. So it's not. It's a natural water product. It is not. There are no additives and no special charging to them like some of the water products that are out there.
So this is just a special structured element within the water itself. It's from nature. It's not changed or altered in any way. And what exactly does it do? So for your health, for your wellness, for your energy level, how does it work?
Well, let's just think of our bodies as I mentioned earlier, as billions of years of an organism. And Norman Seeley, MD, PhD, kind of said it best. He was the founding president of the American Holistic Medical Association. And we were talking about DNA, so that's kind of where I want to start. Your DNA is an exact record of your body fighting off every known infection, virus, or predator in the history of the earth. So it's as simple as that. Your body has an exact record, a perfect health score for more than 1 billion years. And we talked about the tainted water and everything, so very ultra-pure water with these stable water clusters, which form when they get concentrated, and that's what we do. We concentrate them in double helix. They start forming as they get closer together, a double helix pattern. And the reason double helix, think of a DNA strain that you see on a TV commercial or something. It's that twisted pattern. So for water to do that naturally, there's got to be something to it. And what they're theorizing and now proving in the science peer-reviewed papers is it performs as a building block, making the cells as healthy as possible. So what double helix water does is it gives your cells a chance to get rid of the impurities out of the cell, let the cells reproduce at optimal level, and therefore the cells can help fight the infections in the body. So healthy cells, less impurities, better health. It's basically as simple as that. And again, like I said, we're riddled with chemicals in our bodies from the environment, mostly from our food supply and from the tainted water that we currently drink.
And then how do you use this? Because I have a small bottle here, and there are some instructions. So just go over that with us, if you would.
Sure. And I don't know if it's a good time or not. I can kind of tell my story, how I've been using it and some of the things. So I'm a now going on 8-year cancer survivor.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just recently I had 3 cancer surgeries in the last 6 weeks. So I'm happy to be here on the radio with you today and be a survivor. I've had almost every kind of skin cancer you can imagine. And was a red-haired, freckle-faced kid growing up. Think Richie Cunningham from Happy Days.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
That was me, and I was a professional tennis player on the road to be one, and then became one, and also a surfer out here in California. So my daily regimen was crack of dawn, get up and surf in the morning sun, the intense sun as it started getting towards the middle of the day. No sunblock. Back then it was baby oil and white sheets because you needed to have a tan so the girls would be attracted to you.
Of course.
And, of course, in my case, I had 2 colors in summer. I had white and I had burnt red. There was nothing in between. So I got sunburn, I can't even tell you how many amounts of time because of my exposure to the sun. And according to my surgeon at Scripps Institute here in San Diego, all the damage I did to my skin before I was 25, I'm paying for now. So it's accumulative. And so I've been riddled with skin cancer. I've had basal cell, which is the ball-type cancer, squamous cell, which is the kind that veins and can get dangerous in stage 3 and 4 and be deadly, and melanoma now 3 times, which is one of the number 1 cancer killers in America. Yeah, and I just had back surgery with a giant tumor that had to be operated on twice that veined down to my spinal cord.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. You have really been through it, I must say. That's. And again, like you said, this is a cumulative thing, and way back then, who thought about sunscreen? Nobody.
No, I didn't know what sunscreen is. Now, of course, as an adult, I wear long sleeves, I wear hats, I wear sunscreen whenever I go out. Even though not all sunscreen is great for you and it is chemicals, it's the necessary of the 2 evils. I have to block my body as much as possible. So I use clothes and shade and block when I have to.
So how did Double Helix water play into your recovery?
Well, that's a great question. So the makers of the product, and since I work with the company, were very generous in donating product to my cause to see what would happen, and they donated quite a bit. I went from taking the normal for maintenance, health maintenance, taking anywhere from 20 to 30 drops a day, which is kind of the new dosage that we're recommending, to taking whole bottles because I was in a very sick state at the time. And I was taking 3 to 4 bottles a day for 10 days right after the surgery, and some right before, and then continued to do that, and I weaned it off. I'm now 5 weeks since the surgery. I saw the surgeon a couple days ago, and my back is now, and they give you an idea, the 2 giant holes in my back, the second operation down to my spine, so you had stitches on the inside to pull the skin and muscle tissue back together, stitches on the outside, and 15 staples to hold the hole together.
Oh, my goodness, that's huge.
Yeah, 5 weeks later, there's barely a scar. There's a scar. You can see it. You can see where the staples were, but it's flat with no inflammation almost whatsoever, very little inflammation left. The surgeon could not believe it. He says, I heal fast. And I said, well, I do, but because this is why. So I eat very healthy, organic whenever I can, although it's expensive, sometimes cost prohibitive. And I drink a lot of Double Helix water on a daily basis. And this has been probably the only change I've done in my diet since the last surgery. The last surgery I did not have Double Helix water, and there was a remarkable difference between this one and last one, and the surgeon verified that because I had the same surgeon throughout all my cancers.
And what did they say previously when you were not using the water? Did you take a longer time to heal?
Much longer. It took months. Not a little shorter than the typical healing pattern because I have a very good metabolism overall, but still took much longer time. This was very rapid healing, and I was able to go back to sports in less than 5 weeks.
That's remarkable. So that's unheard of, actually, with what you just went through. I still can't believe it myself. I was on my mountain bike last week and said, I can't believe I'm sitting here on my mountain bike riding in the dirt just, 4.5 weeks after this massive 3 surgeries that I had. Gee, wow. Well, it's a wonderful personal experience, and it says quite a lot about Double Helix water. Now, when you say that you drink bottles of it, because these bottles are kind of small, so now do you add this to water as pure as you can find it, distilled or whatever, or do you just drink the bottle by itself?
I pop the dripper out of there. It's easy to pop off with a screwdriver, just a cap. You can pop it right out, and I drink it right out of that little bottle.
You do?
So I drink it straight. When you're in disease state, I drink it straight right out of the bottle. And we're finding that we recommend you put it in distilled water to lengthen it out, and you can put 2 bottles in 1 gallon of distilled water and drink about 12 ounces twice a day is what for basic maintenance. But in a disease state, or if you have something that you want to help the cells get healthy to help the body heal itself, then we recommend much higher dosages. In my case, I was drinking that little bottle that you have. I was drinking 4 of those a day, 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening.
And that made a huge difference, obviously, with your healing. Now, for somebody that is not in a disease state, you recommend how much?
I would recommend that they take about 12 ounces diluted 2 bottles in a gallon of distilled water and drink about 12 ounces twice a day. Or take 10 drops in the morning straight out of the dripper that's in that little bottle you have. As you notice, you remove the cap, it has a dripper in it. You can just shake it and drip them right onto your tongue, and they'll absorb right into your bloodstream, into your tongue. So one of the other things I wanted to mention, Patricia, we also have cream that's infused with the Double Helix water that I also put on the scars, and this helped the scarring diminish dramatically. In fact, the first surgery I mentioned I had 3 was on my left side of my face, 15 stitches, and everybody I saw last night can't tell which side of my face was operated on. So I actually put the water and the cream directly on the wound, and it absorbed right into the skin.
You put the water on the cream on your face also?
Correct.
Okay, so you can apply it directly. So this is wonderful. I mean, this is an all-natural product. And I've seen your cream. Your cream is fantastic, and it absorbs immediately into the skin, which is great. And, there's just so many uses for this because people who are healthy can take this water to maintain their health and use the cream for their skin. But besides that, let's say somebody's getting the flu or a cold. Does this have an effect on it?
You bet it does. It will, like any good organic product, if you eat organically, if you could afford that, you take the water as your sickness is coming on in high dosage, it will either diminish or eliminate the illness. And I've seen this with several of my friends that have tested this with the flu as it's going around right now, ones that have taken the water and ones that haven't, and how much quicker they recover. It doesn't eliminate the disease, but it helps your body fight it off faster.
Well, that makes sense because what this is doing is bolstering the body's own resources. And
correct.
Again, so there's nothing that you're taking with this water that is unusual or alien to the body. This is just helping your body get stronger and better in and of itself, which, as Linus Pauling said, as you mentioned, that is the whole crux of healing. It's to make the body strong enough so that it can fight these things off and heal itself. And we are under quite an assault. I mean, we've had Dr. Garth Nicholson on Supernatural Girls, and Dr. Nicholson is world-renowned microbiologist who actually discovered what the real cause of the Gulf War syndrome was. And I'm sure if you know people that were there, they came back, they were ill, they spiked high amounts of cases of autoimmune diseases, and Dr. Nicholson was the one who found out where it was coming from, which was mycoplasma. And mycoplasma, this weaponized mycoplasma, was basically introduced to testing to prisoners and nursing home patients. And, of course, as you well know, you cannot control a biological agent. Once it's released, and it just continues to spread. So there is some theory here and some really strong facts to back it up when we look at the numbers of autoimmune cases today that it had to start somewhere. And certainly the amounts we're seeing today are just huge compared to what we saw 20, 30 years ago. A case of ALS would have been rare. Now it's getting more and more common. Unfortunately, all of these autoimmune diseases are. And there's not a lot of good treatment for these. So when you talk about the Double Helix water, I'm wondering, has anyone who's had any of these autoimmune diseases taken the Double Helix water, and what was their report on it?
Well, actually, it's a good point that you bring that up, Patricia. As I mentioned earlier in the show, there's been 7 peer-reviewed papers published. They're at bagelhouse.com, all papers. One of them is actually on melanoma cancer. Dr. Bonavita, who I've spoken to personally because of my melanoma, at a UCLA Med Center. So this is a well-recognized national immunology department, and Dr. Bonavita did a study using stable water clusters because you can't name a product. And he did this study using double helix type patterns in stable water clusters that were discovered on melanoma cells and had quite a discovery. And it's published now, peer-reviewed, and available to the public to purchase and read that study. It's one of 7 studies on different parts of autoimmune diseases that have occurred in the body.
And basically, if you could summarize it for us, that would be a big help. What was the conclusion?
Well, the conclusion is basically what we were saying before, is the stable water clusters enhanced and boosted the natural body's immune system, which allowed it to fight off the disease.
So people started to recover, basically.
Correct. They started recovering. Actually, at a molecular level, under the electronic force microscope that we mentioned earlier, they studied the melanoma cells, and you could pull the paper up. I'm not a scientist. I'm an athlete. But I looked at these. I do have a chemistry background from college. Looked at these slides that they had published in the papers, and you can actually see the healthy cells with the stable water clusters went right to the cells, and the cells started attacking the melanoma cancer. And you can actually see this under the microscope. It was very fascinating.
That is just giving me chills. I mean, that's just an amazing thing, to know that the body can fight back that way with the right kind of support. And clearly that's what Double Helix water is offering, is that type of natural support. So the body can basically turn itself into a a health warrior and get rid of the things that are causing the problems. That's amazing that it would do that.
Yeah, Patricia, you're very accurate with that statement. So what I didn't mention is I've had chemo twice. My earlier stages of cancer 7-8 years ago, went through chemotherapy twice. This time, because of my healing and speedy recovery, decided not to put me on chemotherapy. So my body is in a state now where it's able to start fighting off this skin cancer that unfortunately I put on myself because of my youth. And that's the big difference between when I started having cancer and today.
Well, that's a huge difference. And I think, too, this is, again, there's many different treatments that people can choose for cancer. There's been a lot of alternative research that has been presented and alternative treatments and many testimonials where people feel that they have cured themselves with natural means. But when it comes to autoimmune diseases, we've got a different breed of cat. With that, these people are just loved by the pharmaceutical companies because they will never get better. There's no real treatment. So unlike cancer, where you can offer people surgery and chemo and things like that, with autoimmune diseases, you can offer them very little. You offer them basically control of pain, sleep meds, things like that. So there really is nothing to offer autoimmune patients from the traditional medical care view. So something like Double Helix water, that starts to give them an alternative. So now people with autoimmune disease can, hopefully this would also help to modulate the immune system, because as you know, that's one of the problems. The immune system begins to destroy healthy tissue. So
Correct.
In the documents that you've just referenced, the peer-reviewed studies and things like that, is there anything about autoimmune disease specifically that you could summarize for us?
Basically, there's a lot of different studies that have been done, some on autism and other types of diseases, but specifically on autoimmune, there's a study being conducted now, but it hasn't been published. So I'm not really free to talk about the research at this time, but once it's published, it will be up on the same place where the other papers are, and I suspect that study will be out probably between now and next spring is what they're telling me. And they're saying they're getting some similar results that they've gotten with the other diseases of these patients. And these are clinical trials, just so you know, Patricia. These aren't studies on rats. These aren't studies on other animals. They're first done in the lab, pretty much done the way other studies are done, recognized by the FDA is kind of the path we're taking now. So the FDA will eventually approve this product, and that's the path. And so we're doing actual clinical trials right now, blind studies and placebo. And
well,
so
that's
those are the
excellent.
studies that are being published.
Randy, you also may want to contact Dr. Nicholson because they also conduct clinical trials at imed.org, and that's immed.org, also for anybody else who is interested in reading up on his research on autoimmune disease. And I'm sure he'd be very, very interested in talking with you about the possibilities with Double Helix water and the people that he is treating that have been suffering from the effects of Gulf War syndrome and consequently autoimmune disease. So he might be another great contact for your product and your company and to be able to take this even further. Because, again, that's what we're all looking for. The people that have these diseases are suffering tremendously. And it doesn't, a lot of these diseases, yes, they will eventually kill you, but there's years and years and years of suffering, and how nice it would be if we could alleviate suffering with products like Double Helix water. So
it would just be a great thing, and I appreciate, and I did take that information down, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's already bumped into some of the colleagues here, all the PhDs and MDs that have done the studies at Caltech and UCLA Med Center.
Oh, that's great. Well, we've got a couple questions here. Another question from the chat room. What is the cost of this water?
Normally the cost is $62.95 through a healthcare practitioner. But I know that we decided to make an offer here on the show with the code POWER20 at our website and the 800 number, which I know, Patricia, you're going to give out. If they call the company direct, just through this radio show, we're going to give 20% off on that for someone to try the product, as well as the cream so they can see for themselves. Because I truly believe that everybody is unique. We all have different things affecting our bodies. Our diets are all different. Everybody is unique, and no two people are alike, which makes life kind of exciting and not boring. So I employ people like myself to try it and see what they think. And also I employ you to look at the research. Really check the research out, because it is very scientific and it's conducted in a very well manner compared to a lot of different nutritional products out there.
And the phone number to call is 1-800-270-8650. Again, that's 1-800-270-8650. And the website is doublehelixwater.com. And you can find all of this information on supernaturalgirls.com under Power Preppers. You can just click right on the link. It will bring you to the Double Helix Water website. And also the 800 phone number is listed there as well. So when you just gave me that price, there was a little bit of sticker shock, I have to say. Now,
I'm sure.
Because that's one bottle, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so for somebody who is not well, this 20% off offer is wonderful, because you can buy a few bottles and at much less money. So that's terrific. Thank you so much for being so generous with your discount for all of our listeners, Randy. Thank you.
Yeah, no, our pleasure as a company. We just want to get the word out and really have people feel the effects of what ultra-pure water with these clusters, and it can really, build up your immune system in your body so it can help fight off the things that are ailing you.
And we do have another question, so let me get Becky on the line. We have Becky from Virginia. Miss Becky, nice to talk to you again.
Yes, hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I love this Double Helix show you have here. It's like, the fountain of youth or the fountain of life, water. You think, thousands of years ago when we did drink pure water, people lived to be 300, 500 years old, It must have been they had the Double Helix back then.
They must have had something. It certainly isn't what we're drinking today.
That's for sure. My question is, though, could this water be used in our water table, in the lakes, and in the plants that are around the lakes and the animals, if it was processed and made in larger amounts for the good of the earth, and you put it in and it helps us as humans go after disease in the body and heal it? Couldn't that be the same thing happening if it was put into the water and the plants and animals, fish, raising fish with this water in it, and then place them into the lakes and that? Wouldn't it build and heal and maybe cleanse the water?
Since it's not self-reproducing, Becky, that would be great if it was, and it was that kind of organism, but it is not. But I would say this: if you put it in as water into a plant, although I wouldn't recommend that, it's a little expensive unless you're a secret millionaire I don't know about. It's better for your body. Now, it'd be great if in a mass form, and it was cost-effective for us to clean the lakes, streams up, and get water, as we mentioned before, the path that water has to take to get to us as humans. That would be awesome if we could actually do that. And there may be a solution for that, way down the road. I wouldn't say that solution's coming anytime soon. So the best way to get this into yourself is directly from the bottle itself.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking. Plants clean, the water plants and plants around lakes, they clean the water in that. So I was wondering if plants were treated with this and placed in and around lakes, if it would super clean the water, along with it possibly in the water.
Yeah, in theory, probably would. I don't know. So that would have to be an experiment that would have to be conducted scientifically with controls, so you could tell it was actually the water doing it. Because I'm one big on science, that you must prove that it's this exact thing that's making that change. And to do that, you have to eliminate all the other variables. So it's definitely possible, and theoretically, definitely possible.
That would be great. Clean our water all over the world up.
Yes. I mean, it's a great question, Becky, an excellent question, because what you're talking about and what you're alluding to in this is that there may be a way to clean up not just the water supply, but our whole food supply with this.
That's right. All the way up the chain. That's right.
a great question.
Yes.
And Becky,
Thank
just so
you.
you know this, Dr. Lowe and I and several others have had this exact discussion. So that's something they are definitely looking at down the road.
Wonderful. That brings me great joy. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Becky. Thanks for calling in.
Yes.
Thank you, Becky.
Great show. Thank you both. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
That's great. And this is, I think, what Becky brought up is the way we all need to think. Is it's about water, but it's about our whole food supply that we've contaminated. And is there a way with these structured elements like the Double Helix, what's in the Double Helix water, to have an effect on everything else? I love that question that she just asked.
and she's spot on. If you look at the research, and Dr. Lowe and David Gann, again, theorize that this has been around for billions of years. And again, this is not an invention, it's a discovery. They discovered this existed at room temperature, this stable water, helix pattern structure of water that was probably been around for billions of years. We just haven't had the technology to see it up until now.
It's just an incredible discovery. And again, to think that you could just drink this little bottle and it would make such a difference on your health. Now, I do need to ask, just so, because I know a lot of people are listening today that are not feeling very well, and this $62 you said was the price on that?
Correct.
Okay, so for somebody to get well, I mean, I know it's a very individual situation, but what's the ideal situation? That somebody who's chronically ill could take 1 to 3 bottles every day for a period of time?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. I'll just give you some actual people I know that knew nothing about this before that I've met around the country as I travel to different events speaking about Double Helix. And I could speak about my wife in general. She has swelling in her feet, and she's had a foot problem. She's a pre-diabetic, and as you know, diabetes people have foot problems, swelling.
Oh, yes, terrible problem.
Terrible.
For that, yes.
She has this pre going on. She's later in years in life, and so she's had this issue and never really said a lot about it, but it's been dealing with it. After just a day or two on Double Helix water, 12 ounces twice a day, diluted in distilled water, she takes it straight now. Her swelling went away in 2 days, and no longer the pain is no longer there.
That's remarkable.
That's one example. Yeah, it is. The other, and she uses the cream on it as well, which seems to help as well minimize that swelling. Another gentleman, lady and gentleman, they're retired, both have arthritis in their hands. I met them in Florida not too long ago in August, and I gave them each a couple bottles of water for free and some cream, and just told them I wanted them to be healthy and never really collected their information. Gave them my business card in case they needed to contact me again. And I got a call a week later from the husband telling me how his arthritis in his fingers had minimized to where it didn't hurt him to pick up glass anymore. And his wife's arthritis pretty much had most of the major pain had disappeared over a 3-day period. And again, it was about and the cream is, just to give you an idea, we were talking, the cream is also on that same offer for 25 or 20% off. And the cream retails at $32 a tube, and it will help not only with those kind of elements, but it will clean up your skin complexion as well, because it just makes the cells healthy and the pores healthy to be cleaner, and that way you absorb more oxygen into your body as well. So these are things that the cream helps with, and that's part of arthritis. Think about it. That's inflammation. And so
it all
what
boils
the
down
water
to
does
that,
is it allows your cells to handle the inflammation at a cellular level.
Well, these are great products that you're offering today. And, again, the cream is very affordable, $31. My goodness. I mean, there's so many creams out there that claim to do a lot of things, and they're a lot more expensive than that. But, I think for people today, they really need to give this a try. It's something that everybody should store. I mean, I think this is something I'd love to have in my prepper pantry for sure. And this is something to do every day if you need to for health purposes, if you're not feeling well. But certainly the cost, people just have to compare that to what they're paying for their cable television bill or something like that and just say, this is worth the investment. But there's no price you can put on health. There really isn't.
No, there isn't. If you look at the money you pay in copay for medical and everything else, and like you said, in your prepper closet, in my earthquake kit, I have a case of this water in there, and just in case a natural disaster happens, so I have some ultra-pure water on hand besides just
that's
regular
great.
water ready to go.
And you keep that right in your bug-out case so that you're ready to go. That's wonderful.
Well,
you're in California. You got to be ready for that stuff there. That's for sure.
Yeah, we do. We have to be ready.
Oh, goodness. Well, Randy, this has been an absolute pleasure. You've given us so much great information, and I urge everybody to go to your website, which is doublehelixwater.com, and use the code POWER20, and you will get 20% off your purchase as one of our listeners. And you can also go to our website, supernaturalgirls.com, sign up on our newsletter subscription list, and you will get access to all of the giveaways and all of the discounts that we offer for all the products. And also on the website, there is a link to doublehelixwater.com, and the 20% discount is listed there, as well as the phone number, 1-800-270-8650. Well, Randy, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back on the show and talk to us again about this wonderful product and all the other research that's coming out about it. We're going to be staying tuned on this one. This is great.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today, Patricia, and thank you to your listeners for taking the time to listen as this last hour. Appreciate it very much, and wishing everybody a great day.
Thank you, Randy. Well, take care, everybody, and stay tuned. Next week we have another great show. We will be talking with Evan Pritchard about Native American techniques for survival. So be sure to tune in next week as well, and every Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. for Power Preppers.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another terrific episode of Power Preppers with Patricia Baker.